and play on 2nd and 10. That's his youth right there.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Today I'll be reacting to week 11 of the 2025 college football season. So there was almost some chaos in the Big Ten. Indiana barely escaped Penn State 27-24 on a last-minute touchdown catch by Omar Cooper.
Mendoza in trouble! It's out! Touchdown! Wow!
And when you look at Penn State's roster, it's not surprising that this game was so close. But when you look at the way Penn State has played all season, it's surprising that they got within 2 touchdowns of Indiana, especially within a field goal. And it's surprising that Penn State running back Nicholas Singleton, who's been struggling all season, finally had a good game, running 10 times for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns against an Indiana front seven that's been elite all season. But a win is a win, and Indiana remains likely to go to the Big Ten championship game. And right now, Fernando Mendoza is the Heisman favorite. And Oregon almost got upset by Iowa kicking a last-minute field goal to escape 18-16.
Up and good. We got it.
But I can't blame Oregon too much for this because their defense obviously did fine if they held Iowa to 16 points because Iowa's offense is not like it was a couple of years ago. Their offense does exist. And Oregon's offense obviously struggled in this game and needs to play better than that. But Iowa's had an elite defense forever. And this game was on the road, and Iowa is a very tough place to play. So I did watch all of the Alabama LSU game, and even though Alabama won by 2 scores, 20-9, their offense really struggled in this one. They really only got 17 points offensively because one of those field goals they got was from a fumble recovery that put them in field goal range. But some of this was, I think, just LSU's defense playing to its ceiling. And if I was whoever the new LSU head coach is going to be, I would be trying to get their defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, to stay because I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. And he's really turned their defense around. And Alabama still couldn't run the football, only running for 56 yards and averaging only 2.2 yards per run. This is the worst Alabama offensive line since at least Nick Saban's first season there. It's amazing that Alabama is 6-0 in the SEC with no run game. And while I know Ty Simpson and the wide receivers, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard get most of the attention, it's really been Alabama's defense that's been carrying them. Their defense played great. Now, some of that is just LSU's offense is so bad. LSU hasn't even scored more than 24 points all season, except for against an FCS team. Their offense was so bad last night that they benched Garrett Nussmeier. And Nussmeier this season has really ruined his NFL future to me because after last season, he was expected to be a first round draft pick, and he was going to be an immediate starter in the NFL. But now he's going to be a late draft pick, no doubt, and he won't be a starter in the NFL. But I do think it was the right decision by the interim head coach to to bench him for Van Buren, the quarterback that played for Mississippi State last season, started 8 games for them. And while I'm an Ole Miss fan, I will admit that he did have some good moments with Mississippi State last season. And unlike Nussmeier, he can run some, but he did something really stupid in this game because it was 3rd and 10, and he takes off running and has plenty of room to get the first down, and then he slides down right before making the line to gain, and then an LSU offensive lineman gets a penalty, so then they can't even go for it. LSU's offensive line has not only been a big disappointment in how they've played, uh, something that's hurt them just as much has been how many penalties they've gotten. This is the most penalized offensive line I think I've ever seen. And while quarterbacks are supposed to slide down while running to avoid an injury, they're always supposed to make sure that if they can make the line to gain, to make the line to gain before they slide down. Look, I have proof that something has got to be done about NIL because DJ Lagway, who I think I'm going to start calling Dud Lagway because he's such a dud, is making $1.9 million a year in NIL money. And last week against Kentucky, he got benched at halftime because in the first half he threw for only 83 yards and he threw 3 interceptions and averaged a pitiful 4.4 yards per throw. This dud doesn't deserve a penny in NIL money, and he's no doubt going to leave Florida after this season is over, but I don't know where he's going to go because not even an FCS team is going to want him, and he can't go back to high school where he actually was good. But Florida proved tonight that last night that Kentucky is not the worst team in the SEC. They are, along with the Woo Pig Suey dummies who still don't even have a conference win and are on their way to a 2-10 season. And Florida also proved last night that they have the worst quarterback in the SEC and not Kentucky. And congratulations to the Florida defense for making a Kentucky offense that has struggled all season look good. The defense had been the one decent thing about Florida this season, but they didn't show up, and they're going to have to show up in Oxford this Saturday, or they're going to get run out of the building because Ole Miss has a much better offense than Kentucky has got. And I don't know what would make Florida even think they're deserving of getting to contact lane at Kiffin. Florida hasn't been a consistently good football program since Urban Meyer dumped them 15 years ago, and they've only had a few good seasons since then. And Lane Kiffin has turned Ole Miss into one of the best programs in college football. And Ole Miss is going to spank Florida's little bottoms blue this Saturday. So it wouldn't make sense for Lane Kiffin to want to leave Ole Miss to go to this garbage dump of a football program that he's going to blow out. But it looks like Mark Stoops is going to keep his job at Kentucky. Kentucky now has a decent chance to make a bowl game because now they've got 4 wins and they'll get an easy 5th win this week against an FCS team, and then their last 2 games are against Vanderbilt and Louisville. And it wouldn't be crazy if Kentucky won one of those games. Louisville just got upset by Cal, and while I think Jeff Brom has done a good job at Louisville, the one bad thing about him has been every year that he's been there, they've lost a game like this that makes no sense for them to lose. In his first 2 years, they lost to a three-loss team each year. I mean, a three-win team each year. And then while Cal isn't a three-win team, they're actually bowl eligible now that they beat Louisville. There is no reason why Louisville should ever be losing to California. And Virginia also lost to Wake Forest. And I'm really not surprised by this at all. Virginia to me seems like a fluke season, but that makes more chaos in the ACC. So I went to the Ole Miss game yesterday, and while there's not much to say about it because it was just the Citadel they were playing, it's actually surprising that they didn't win by more than 49 to 0. Something worth mentioning about it, though, is it seems like Austin Simmons, since getting hurt and being benched, has forgotten how to play football because when Trinidad Chambliss was in the game, their offense was unstoppable as it should be in a game like this. But then Simmons comes in and they have three drives of 0 points, including a very stupid interception that he threw. So then I left after that thinking Ole Miss was done scoring, and they did get one more score after that. But if that's the best Simmons can do against the Citadel, Chambliss better not get hurt. And this is strange because I thought Ole Miss was in good shape with the backup quarterback because when Simmons was the starter at the beginning of the season, he looked like a pretty good quarterback. But Texas Tech and BYU, I didn't get to see any of that game because I went to the Ole Miss game. But I'm surprised that Texas Tech blew BYU out. Of course, I thought that they were going to win. If you saw my prediction video, you know that. But this Texas Tech team is even better than I thought it was going to be. And I was really high on Texas Tech in the off season, and it's actually because of their secondary why they're better than I thought they would be. Their front seven is elite, like I thought it would be, but their secondary, well, I thought it would be better than last year's. I didn't think it'd be good. I just thought it'd be okay, but it is good. They held BYU quarterback Bachmeyer to just 188 yards passing and 4.9 yards per throw. And uh, Jacob Rodriguez, the Texas Tech linebacker, even though he's a defensive player, I think he's a Heisman possibility. He had a huge game against BYU with 14 tackles and an interception and a fumble recovery. He's no doubt one of the best players in college football, and I think he's going to be a first round draft pick. But this is a complete team, and I never thought I'd say this, but Texas Tech is one of not very many teams that actually has a chance to win a national championship this season. They dominated what's been a really good BYU offensive line. They held LJ Martin to just 35 yards rushing on 10 carries, and Bachmeyer, who's been one of the better running quarterbacks this season, to just 12 yards on 11 carries. This is easily a top five defense in college football, and that's what makes Texas Tech a national championship contender. It reminds me so much of the defense that Ole Miss had a year ago. And Texas Tech has always scored a lot of points and thrown for a lot of yards, but they've never had a defense anywhere near this good. Texas Tech and Texas A&M are both better than Texas this year, it appears, and that's rare. I saw the fourth quarter of the Texas A&M Missouri game, and it went how I expected it to. Missouri's defense played well for a half and kept them in it, but then they wore out and Texas A&M pulled away because Missouri's backup quarterback is so bad. He only completed 7 passes and only threw for 77 yards in this game and averaged a pitiful 3.5 yards per throw. He's even worse than Dud Lagway, and I know that's hard to imagine, but it really is true. Now, Missouri did run better against A&M than I thought they would. They had two running backs that ran for over 100 yards in this game. A&M's run defense usually plays better than that. But Missouri, your season is over because you now have three losses, and you've got another loss coming against Oklahoma because with this kind of a quarterback, you're not beating Oklahoma because they're not a team that you can lean on the run to beat because their run defense is about as good as Texas Tech's is. But comparing Texas A&M and Texas Tech, Texas A&M does not have Texas Tech's defense, but they do have Texas Tech's offense and maybe even a little bit better of an offense than Texas Tech's got. But that'll be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.